What it do, man? It's DOA Doe back with another episode of putting shit together. Man, it's hot in the booth today. Y'all might have to hear the fan rumbling in the background, man, just to keep this sweat from beating up on the young boy. But today, man, we gonna touch on a seems to be a hot topic, and it's about bosses and workers, man. In light of that Cameron Dame Dash feud and this Stephen A. Molly Karam splitting, we gonna talk about bosses and workers, man, because it seemed like a lot of people been making comments about people being bosses and people having bosses and what's the upside, downside, left side, and right side, man. So we gonna dive inside and see what it really is. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like a lot of people's getting it misunderstood, getting it misconstrued, putting out the wrong info, getting in their feelings and whatnot. So we gonna dive into it, and y'all can hear my explanation of it, man. This is something that's near and dear to my heart, to be honest. So it's gonna be nice to chop it up with y'all about this subject. But without further ado, without further delay, let's go ahead and hear what the people gotta say.
And I've been watching over the last several years, people in this business fall by the wayside because we forget that all of us ultimately answer to people. We don't get to define our own value. We don't get to define our own worth. We don't get to sit there and summarily say, this is who I am and this is what I'm going to do. And guess what? I don't give a damn what anybody say unless you have the leverage to do it. Because business is all about leverage. And I'm going to take this opportunity talking to this audience, giving you some insight into who I am and how did I think and how I think to make sure you understand where I come from. When you heard me at a time when we were discussing my contract negotiations all over the media and all throughout the sports world, what I talked about was what my worth was based on what the numbers showed. I talked about these are the ratings. This is the revenue. And I talked about, like I wrote in my book, Straight Shooter, a memoir of second chances and first takes, which was a New York Times bestseller, by the way. I said in the book, I wake up with two things every morning, two thoughts of mine, prevalent most in my mind. How do I make my bosses more money? How do I get some of it? I'm going to repeat that. How do I get my bosses more money? How do I get some of it? Why do I say that? Because every one of us answer to somebody. For those of you out there with a YouTube channel, guess what? YouTube can flag your stuff and limit what you could disseminate to the masses. Over the airways of SiriusXM Radio, I have a beautiful deal with this company. I am incredibly happy.
I'm going to stop right there because he already told several lies. And, of course, he tooted his own horn every chance he get. That's what Stephen A. do, but he had some truth in it. I guess speaking about the people in his line of work, being on TV, on these networks, being commentators, they all answer to somebody. Also, there is some truth to what he said about being on YouTube. You also have to answer to somebody. That's why I tell the League of Shadows, man, we got to do what we got to do just to get the spotlight on this channel, to get some of this valuable information out, because YouTube knows who I am. YouTube knows who everybody is, and they'll block you based on who you are, based on what you're saying, based on a myriad of reasons that is at their discernment. So that is very true. You can't just get on YouTube and say whatever and be whoever you want to be, because they are working in conjunction with these big data carriers, these big data collectors, Palantir, etc. And they're putting together a social score for all of us. So there are people, thanks to Barack Obama and his wave of the pen legislation, they can target American citizens and pretty much put them in a box of terrorists, and they can do certain things to them at their discretion to affect their livelihood. So that's why I'm saying I know myself to be on that list for various reasons. Not that I ain't trying to, do no attacks or nothing like that. I'd never do nothing like that. But I have a track record of spreading information that they don't feel like they want to be disclosed. So that's why I have to try to play it light on YouTube. I'm not doing this for money. I'm doing it really more so for the message. And just because I'm tired of seeing so many fuck niggas on podcasts. I'm tired of it. And I know a lot of other people tired of it too. So I want to give people an outlet and a chance to get something that they're not used to getting, something that they might be looking for. So that is true, but some of us are only on YouTube not for monetary gain, but really more so for the drive to put out that information. So I just wanted to get that straight off the jump, because I ain't on here like everybody else, man. I get my own money in my own way, so I don't really need YouTube. And if I did, I probably wouldn't be on here, because I know YouTube's gonna make it hard for me to get the message out there, which in turn can earn you some funds, I guess, if you do it right.
It doesn't escape me that Scott Greenstein is my boss. I work at ESPN. I'm incredibly happy with how I have been treated. Dave Roberts is my boss. Burke Magnus is my boss. Mike McQuaid is my boss. Jimmy Pitaro is my boss.
Let's skip
Bob
ahead.
Iger is my boss.
I'm trying to get to the part where he talk about bosses and
this notion,
and workers.
There's a beast that has to be fed.
Ooh.
And along the way, sometimes it calls for you to make sacrifices you may not otherwise.
We're going to go back.
And they should be here. But it can all evaporate in a snap if you lose perspective. And you forget that everybody, and I mean everybody, answers to somebody. There's a beast that has to be fed. And along the way, sometimes it calls for you to make sacrifices you may not otherwise want to make.
That was interesting verbiage right there. There's a beast that has to be fed, and along the way, you might have to make sacrifices that you didn't want to make. So that's what he's speaking to. If you just keep it in the box of the entertainment industry, that would be some of the realest speech you ever heard. But he keeps on interjecting that everybody has a boss, and that's not true. It's just not true. We gonna get into some of the ways where you don't need to have a boss, but in this industry that he is making his coins in, it's always gonna be a boss, and that's true. And I know he's saying that this isn't directly speaking on Molly's situation, but it feels like it is, because she was up for contract renegotiations and then she split just out of nowhere. So I know she probably wanted more money than they were willing to give her based on what they felt like her value was to the show. And she probably didn't like that Stephen A's been lobbying for other people to get money, and maybe he wasn't lobbying that hard for her to get more money, which is probably what happened. You know what I'm saying? But he's basically just saying, you got to turn tricks. You got to do what the boss wants you to do in order to get this money. You know what I'm saying? Which is true. And you should do that. But in this industry, they be turning tricks. And a lot of times you got to compromise what you know to be the truth the truth within yourself, like Stephen A. lying about his college basketball career in order to look cool or to portray a certain image out here to the public. And yeah, sometimes they put you in, or pretty much every time is what he's saying, they're going to put you in a compromising position. Stephen A., of course, capitulated.
And what changed my life for the better, that made me a better professional, that made me a better man, was when I woke up and realized my primary objective in the world of business, in the capitalistic society that we live in, is to make somebody money and to be able to get some of it. Because nobody gets to take it all for themselves. Even the bosses have to surrender resources and assets to people that are under them to make sure everything flows efficiently and fluidly. That's the world we're living in. And you know, when you make moves, when I sat up there and I talked about what my worth was, it's because I knew I had leverage, because I had other opportunities. You don't say stuff like that when you don't. I did at that time. That doesn't mean that's going to be the case 5 years from now. Doesn't mean it's going to be the case 10 years from now or 15 years from now, or it was the case 20 years ago or 15 years ago when I was fired. But in that moment, that was my time. At some point in time, all of us, and this part includes Molly, frustrations come with everything in the world of business. There will never be 365 days a year, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. There will never be a time when all of those hours, days, weeks, months, and years are clean, devoid of stress and strain that wears you down. But you have to make a decision as to whether or not it's going to break you.
Yeah. Y'all pretty much get the gist of what he's saying. Everybody got to answer to somebody, and basically the negotiations wasn't going how Molly wanted them to go. Maybe she didn't have the leverage. She didn't have as many opportunities on her doorstep, and Disney called her bluff or whatever. That's essentially what he's saying. But the part I wanted to hone in on is that everybody has a boss, and it's not true. When you build your own shit from the ground up, you don't have a boss. You don't have to answer to somebody as far as what you want to do and really what your value is. You, of course, got to play the market and see what the customers might pay you, might pay for. But to be honest, you can set your own price when you making your own shit. Case in point, man, I do my own business, man. I'm in Party Rentals, right? Really marquee letter rentals. But I built the marquees myself by hand. I got some of the videos on my page if y'all want to check the paperwork, as they say. You know what I'm saying? You can check behind me, and I don't answer to nobody. I'm, of course, loyal to my customers. I definitely work with my customers and try to provide them the best service that I possibly can. But they don't set my prices. They don't tell me when to work. They don't tell me nothing but what they want. And if I can provide that, then we make an agreement, and then I stick to that. As far as, of course, keeping my agreements, yeah, of course I do that. You see what I'm saying? But my customers don't dictate anything going on, and nor do any employees. You see what I'm saying? So there is situations where you can build your own shit from the ground up and you don't have to answer to nobody. And that's a boss. Other than that, you're a worker, which is not bad. I mean, people earn livings working. A lot of people don't want to take on the obligation of being a boss because it is hard work. It's very hard to be the one that everything falls upon. Being the one that has to create shit from scratch and get this shit to a viable position business wise. So a lot of people not built for that, and that's okay. As a boss myself, I appreciate that there are people that don't want to do that and people that want to work. People that don't mind answering to you, being told what they need to do in order to earn what they want or need to earn to keep themselves afloat out here. You know what I'm saying? To earn and gross out here. But I feel like a lot of people like Stephen A. and a lot of others that's been kind of echoing what Stephen A. is saying don't understand that. And they take offense to that because they feel like it's somebody's taking a shot at them when it's really not a shot. It's just the true facts of the matter. We're going to go ahead and get into this Joe Budden podcast where he speaks on it. Some of his dudes speak on it. And we're going to come back.
Dame is one. He's on record saying, like, he can't work for nobody. He has to be the boss. And, okay, cool. But there's nothing wrong with partnering up as well. Yeah, and it's like some people just always want to look down on that. Or maybe 50, I might work for you to level up to the, now I go do it. Like, so
50
what?
has built an empire in TV and film. If Cam was, and I don't know that he is, if he was hypothetically working for 50 in this case, I don't think that's a terrible thing.
It's a good spot to be.
Right. This idea that you never will work as talent to me is weird, or that you'll never, because he was clowning. Yeah, they were clowning each other for working as talent for VH1 or for MTV or these other different shows. I mean, again, I don't care about, they're friends, they're gonna be friends again, they love each other, it's gonna be peace, but like, I think about the audience watching that and this idea that now everybody who gets a 9 to 5, everybody who's in the business of entertainment who takes a talent, I mean, you can't even take a talent contract now.
Let's address that. Do y'all feel like that word is or has become a diss? And if somebody calls y'all
absolutely
just talent, are you taking offense to it?
They call us just talent literally to diss us.
I haven't heard anybody.
I see it regularly.
Just asking.
I see it.
I don't give a fuck.
I don't give a fuck.
But you take it as an offense?
No, I don't take it as nothing.
I know they mean it as one.
Let me tell you what the funny
that's how they
part
mean
is.
it, though. Yes,
nigga, when you go to AT&T and you answer that phone, you talent. When you go to your accounting firm, when you go to Goldman Sachs,
nigga, when you
go
drop
to
them fries,
blah blah blah
you're
and
talent.
partners, and you're an attorney for this company, nigga, you are their
when
talent.
you drop back in the huddle,
yes, you are talent.
You are.
So unless you own your own shit and it has your name on it or your brand on it, ding ding ding, nigga, you talent. So you can't insult me calling me talent.
Should that be a diss today?
No, nigga. What the fuck are you talking about?
Shouldn't.
You gainfully employed.
What happened is niggas learned this ownership word,
yes,
and ran
niggas
it into
heard
the
this
fucking
entrepreneurial
ground.
shit.
That's it.
And
now
and
it's
jumped out
now
the
you
window
ain't
with
shit.
it like it's the thing to be.
You ain't shit if you don't own it.
And that's the thing I disagree with Dame about, because to Dame's credit,
I love Dame Dash, bro. It's a horrible message. It's a horrible message.
Exactly.
I just don't speak on it a lot because I respect Dame.
Same.
I really, 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 really respect Dame. It's a horrible message. When he got on Hot 97 and said it, it was a horrible message then.
yeah.
My nigga, you not being a owner of something does not make you less of a man. One, it could be a goal of yours to own some shit so that you have the ability to leave it to your family, leave it to your children, and just be the outright owner of it. That is fly. Most people don't ever reach that. And so if you discredit a man and his hard work ethic because he don't work for himself, I think that shit is a horrible message to send people.
And how do you run a business? To me, it'd be hard to hire.
Look, this is where this is the hot spot right here, man. You hear what they just said, and it's hard for, I think basically what Dame Dash often be saying is in response to people like Cameron who want to claim that they the king of Harlem and they boss, and everybody tosses that boss word around so much like they the boss, they the head nigga in charge and all of that, when they're not. You see Stephen A, he even does it sometimes when he's talking about the First Take and I done made this show into blah 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 and this is my, like, every now and then a high paid worker feels like they the boss when they're not. And it's okay. Nobody wants you to be offended about it. Only if you're out here posing like you're a boss when you're not. Then I want you to feel bad about it, because you're taking away the how can I say this? You are disrespecting what it takes to be an actual boss. You know what I'm saying? Like, on some street shit. I think I mentioned this in another video. It's like a lot of people want to feel like, oh, I'm the boss, I'm the plug and all of that. But you don't want to be the one who has to pick up 100 pounds and put it somewhere and transport it and get it to the block to disperse it to the workers, to the talent. You don't want to take that type of risk, and that's why you're not in that position. You don't know how to handle the plug, the cartel's money. You get a knot of money, and you got to show everybody. My nigga, that's not what bosses do. When you the head nigga in charge, it takes a certain level of poise. It takes a certain level of integrity in order to be on that boss level. And that's what a lot of talent don't understand. Everybody act like they want that position, and yeah, I could be that, I could do that, I could be Jerry Jones. That's what Michael Parsons thought. But nigga, no, you can't. You are discrediting what it took for Jerry Jones to get in the position that he is, where he can pay a bunch of you niggas to parade around on your block like you a boss. When you're not, you getting paid by me, but you getting good pay, and be okay with that. But don't ever confuse yourself into thinking that you the boss when you got to answer to somebody. When you not the nigga who made this shit appear where dust once was. You see, you didn't pull the rabbit out the hat, my nigga. You just carried the rabbit in your arms, and you look like a nigga who made the shit appear, and you didn't. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's where a lot of niggas ain't giving Dame Dash his credit. And all these rappers, and you saw Dame Dash in their videos and all of this, and Dame Dash was everywhere. And then when it came time for Dame Dash to say, you know what, man, I started Rockefeller. Nigga, I was the owner of Rockefeller. Everybody want to act like he wasn't. Well, if he wasn't, why the fuck was you niggas putting them all in your videos and letting his name drop out your mouth every day on a daily basis? Why would a nigga who's not a boss get that type of credit and respect from you niggas who feel like y'all on boss shit? It just, the math ain't mathing, my nigga. It don't make sense. And I see why Dame Dash keeps telling people that, because there is, man, John D. Rockefeller started the school system in order to make people learn at a retarded rate. Therefore, they would be reliant upon boss ass niggas. That he funneled them into the workforce or the prison industrial complex. That was his plan. And we need people like Dame Dash, people who are actual bosses, who actually build shit from the ground up, to tell and encourage more of us to see that avenue as a pathway. You don't have to just go out here and try to get the highest paying job you can get. If you really got the nuts and the guts, you can build your shit from the ground up. You can call all the shots. You can cut the paychecks. And a lot of these niggas don't understand that. And because they don't have the guts and the nuts to do it, or whatever the case may be, why they're not doing it, you not cut from that cloth, okay. Just say, you know what, man, it's some truth to what Dame Dash is saying. I'm not a boss myself. I don't mind working. I don't mind working and just getting a good thick paycheck. That's what I like to do, because you know what? I don't want to have to wake up and go to sleep thinking about this business 24/7. I don't want people to look at me as the responsible party for putting a check in their hand that they can pay their kids pay food for their family. You know what I'm saying? Get food for their family. I don't want to have that level of responsibility over my head. Therefore, I take a little bit lesser role, but that's okay with me. I don't know why everybody gets all up in a ruffle when somebody say I'm a boss and they actually a boss. 50 Cent ain't no boss, nigga. 50 Cent answers to niggas. 50 Cent, and that's okay. But don't come out here and say that you a boss. Rick Ross, boss. You not a boss. You not a fucking boss, bro. And that's okay. You could just be a rich talent. You know what I'm saying? These niggas in the NFL getting 50 million. A lot of them make more than a lot of us. They even make more than some niggas who are bosses. And that's okay. You make a lot of money, but bruh, you not a boss. You just a high paid employee. And they trying to make it seem like boss niggas is looking down on niggas who ain't bosses. Nah, I don't really think that boss niggas spending too much time worried about bossing up and taking they shit to the next level, making sure that they shit stays afloat. They don't have time to be thinking about niggas whose talent and what they feelings is. You know what I'm saying? We ain't got time for that shit, bruh. I ain't got time for that shit, bruh. That's why I ain't on YouTube every day, bro. I don't have time to really be talking about you niggas like that, bro. To be honest, you know what I'm saying? I'm bossing up out here. But kudos to everybody that's gainfully employed. And hopefully you getting a great check and you content with that. If not, work harder and get a bigger check. But always know that there's another route. And the thing is, when you're a boss, you're not getting paid from the beginning. That's what niggas miss. Niggas want to jump in the music game because they don't want to endure working without pay, which is what a lot of bosses have to do in order to get their empire to the place where they want it to be. So a lot of niggas don't have the patience. They don't have the grit and determination to hang on through that initial period. And that's why you don't see that many bosses. It takes a certain skill set. It takes a certain type of heart in order to be that. And that's not to negate anybody that don't have that skill set or that type of heart. That's just the truth of the matter. But if you, it's no shot, but it's the truth. You know what I'm saying? It's the truth, bruh. Like I told y'all, wasn't nobody out here moving that shit around with me, man. Wasn't nobody moving that shit around. Niggas say they wanted to be the boss. They wanted the money that they saw me having. They wanted the title just by default. But nigga, you didn't want to. You ain't want to take his ride, bruh. Trust me. A lot of niggas are fold. A lot of niggas couldn't do that shit. A lot of niggas would have got their arms cut off, bruh, trying to run off with the plugs money and all of this shit. Like, bro, you can't do that. Can't do that. But it ain't in everybody. And that's okay. But I just wanted to touch on that, man. Hey, shout out to my boss niggas and shout out to my fucking, as they say, talent. Shout out to the niggas who's gainfully employed. If you doing what you love and you love what you do and that shit feeding your family, hey, kudos to you. But if you not a boss, don't ever be out here acting like you are a boss, because that shit is offensive to real bosses. Just know that. The same way they acting like they lightweight offended, bruh, boss niggas get offended too by niggas who's trying to parade around like they bosses. You giving business tips as an employee, but sometimes people need business tips from real bosses, and that shouldn't offend you. But man, as always, man, it's a pleasure having y'all. Leave your thoughts in the comments, man. If you think I'm bugging, if you think I'm tripping, you can say that. If you think I'm on point, drop the 100 in the comments, man. Just let me know how it's rocking. You know what I'm saying? But as always, it's peace and love and light, wisdom and insight. DOA. Shout out to the League of Shadows, man, putting shit together. To the next episode, man. Peace.